Sarah. All day. Hell yeah.
Armwrestling's about to take place.
Yeah.
The top 5 in the world currently in the open class.
Okay, so number one, undisputed, Lavon Segashvili, like without a doubt, he's unbelievable. And then after that, I think very likely it's Hermes. Very likely Hermes is looking. He's done the best against Lavon than anybody has. He's got the last 2 rounds technically, and he likely was going to pin him in those 2 as well. It seemed like he was coming back, and Lavon had to bail at the back to get the round to restart. And so I'd say Lavon number 1, Hermes number 2, and then it gets a bit weird with a lot of different people who we're not sure exactly where they are. Like maybe Revaz, maybe Dennis, maybe Gennady, maybe Devin. It's all over the place. That's the thing. I think number 3, personally, going off results, I'm gonna go. I think maybe Revaz. Because nobody can do that to Chafee. That guy has to be so strong. And then after that, after 3rd, it'd be interesting to see where Zaur is as well. Because after Zaur's injury, we haven't seen a lot of him. So who knows if he's back to where he was? Who knows if he's close? So I'm gonna say number 4. It's hard to put my dad ahead of Gennady because Gennady just beat him. So I'm going to go with probably Gennady number 4. And then the thing is, the field's so huge. The field is so big that it's hard to pick exactly. But then number 5, if we're going off results, you could say Jerry, but I don't think Jerry is number 5. I think there's a lot of people that can beat Jerry. So we'll just say my dad because I think he's up there for sure. So we'll go Lavon, Hermes, Revaz, Gennady, and Devin Larratt. I think that's my top 5 personally.
Now, from that, I'm going to assume that with the big super match coming up in July at East vs. West 8, we have Hermes versus Jerry Carteret. I'm going to assume that you're thinking that Hermes is going to get the win.
I think he's going to murder him. I think Hermes is just too strong. And Hermes is a very smart arm wrestler. I think Hermes will do very similarly to what Travis Bagent does, where against Jerry Carteret, where he just grabs him kind of high and just brings him down like that. And it really nullifies a flop if you're strong enough. And I think Hermes is just so incredibly strong that it'd be really difficult for Jerry to be able to stop that. It's possible. It's absolutely possible, but I don't see Jerry winning that match. I think Hermes is just going to dominate him.
The one thing I got to say, though, is you brought up Travis versus Jerry. I don't know if you noticed, but Jerry's 10-1 against Travis. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Jerry definitely has the advantage on Travis, beats him a lot. But what Travis did to him at one time was very impressive. And I feel like because of Hermes' strengths, he'll likely be able to do the same thing.
So you think he's going to stay forward, kind of stuff him? Do you think he's going to transition into a press to beat Jerry?
I think if he can, then it'll be even worse. But I think he might even take the hand and do what a lot of people try to do and try to go over the top. But he might just kind of have to bring him down and just kind of like exploding hand technique almost.
And the only thing that I'm a little hesitant in agreeing with you is Hermes seems to let the other guy hit on him, and he kind of stays open.
Yes.
That's the only thing where I could see where that could be a very big mistake against Jerry, because if Jerry gets on that bicep, man, that could be the end.
I absolutely agree with that. I think if Hermes lets Jerry hit, that'll be a huge mistake. And letting a flop wrist presser hit is never a good idea. And I feel like Hermes has to know that. So very likely, I think you'll see Hermes be hitting very aggressively this match. I think if he lets him hit, then Jerry is very, very likely going to beat him, because getting out of that flop when you're already on the defense, so difficult. Because even if you drop to a king's move, you're likely getting your bicep opened, and working back into a press from already like losing position, very difficult and taxing on the joints and arms. So I think Hermes has to beat him in the setup and be much faster and stronger than him. But I see it going Hermes' way. I do.
Now, the other guy that I didn't see you mention, and I got to bring up, is Artem Morzov. We know that
Yeah,
he's going to be going against the king Lavon, and
yeah.
he's been making a stir in his own right with his right hand. Do you think Artem is in that top five right now?
Yes, actually, I do think he's in there. I forgot to mention that one. I'd say
Who would you have to knock out then to put him in there?
I'm not sure where to place him exactly because I don't know. I don't know where he is. It'll be really interesting to see him and Lavon. I don't think he's gonna do much to Lavon. I honestly don't. I think Hermes is better than him. I mean, you could put him third. You could put him third, but based off results, it's hard to say exactly because, like, very difficult to make an accurate top five ranking. But after this Lavon match, I think it'll make it much clearer where to put him. I'm thinking that he'll be probably somewhere around fourth, so maybe bump Gennady back one and bump my dad out of top five, but it's very difficult to say, very difficult, and all the matchups are different. Like he might beat all these other guys, but then lose to a guy that's lower, and then well, where do you put that guy? It's interesting to say exactly.
Yeah, it's really it's a mess in that top five, and every match that we get, we're gaining a little more info and kind of, figuring out where everybody's placed, but there's still a real lot of questions on where everybody lies. The other question is, as far as Jerry, and I wanted to ask you, who do you think is the harder opponent for Jerry? Is it Hermes or is it Lavon, style
Lavon.
wise?
I'd say absolutely it's Lavon. Hermes' pronation is incredible, and Hermes' like back pressure. Both those things are I think his main things. And against a flop, that's not exactly what you need. It's important. You need to have it to beat the hand, but if you can beat the hand, then it's all about inside game and stopping that. With Lavon's just so massive and so strong that I think just the power behind it's just gonna rip through the arm. And even if he's getting that lock in, Lavon is just so big and so strong. It was impressive to see Hermes do it. It was very impressive. But Hermes flops very differently than Jerry Cataract. Very differently. Hermes's flop also had a lot of back pressure to it and was more like kind of like a flopping roll. And if he had tried to jump on it like how he should, like press it, then Hermes likely was able to pronate through it and probably get out. Jerry doesn't have that same option, I don't think. I think it's very different. He presses with the shoulder commitment, he presses like down to the pad as a traditional floppers press does. But I don't see Jerry working well with Lavon. I think Lavon will just be too much. That power is just going to be so incredible and just rip right through him, I think.
See, I'm more worried about the Hermes match for Jerry. I think that
Really?
yeah, the biggest thing that I'm more worried about is the speed of Hermes, and I think that could be a big factor where I think if Jerry can get into that press with Lavon, I think it's going to be a very bad day for Lavon. And I think that Lavon might underestimate him and think that he's going to be able to catch Jerry and hold him. And I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of guys do think that. And then they find out when Jerry gets into that press that it's really not that easy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my biggest fear is him going against Hermes, and I've told him that continuously. I was like, I think if you beat Hermes, I think it's going to be a lot easier for you to beat Lavon. And I think the biggest challenge right now is just to get through Hermes to be able to even get that match with Lavon. But that's just my personal opinion. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's very it's interesting. It's interesting to talk about because how much does speed affect? It's very like we know Hermes is faster than Lavon. Like he's lighter, he's younger, he's gonna be more explosive. But I don't think Lavon's gonna underestimate any opponent he goes against. I think he's gonna try to beat him as quick as he can and flash. Lavon doesn't really hold people. He doesn't really do it like in any of the matches unless he's like so clearly in control and dominant. He doesn't hold. He blasts at the start, and I think he'd do the same against Jerry if he could.
Well, I hope we get to see that day.
Yeah.
I hope to get to see that match. We'll find out in July if
Mhm.
Jerry could climb that hurdle of Hermes to get actually to that big title match against Lavon.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see another North American going for the title. That'd be incredible. I hope he does. I hope Jerry beats him. I hope Jerry climbs all the way up and fights Lavon. I just think it'll be super difficult to get past Hermes. Very difficult.
And what would you think of a rematch between your father and Jerry? I know they've been going back and forth for a little while. There was some words thrown, and I put out that 10K offer to try making it happen, but we didn't know at that time that Jerry was already locked in with East versus West against Hermes. But the only stipulation that Jerry did make to Devin was he had to beat Gennady, and Devin just got that loss against Gennady, but maybe if we get that rematch and Devin gets the win, would you like to see a rematch between Jerry and your dad? Because I kind of would love to see the winner of Dave and your dad go against Jerry, so we could really iron out who is number one in North America.
Yeah, I think that's a match that needs to happen sometime in the future. But I see that one. I see that one going my dad's way. Although he lost the flop this time with Gennady, and Gennady, Jerry, and my dad have all had very close matches. They've all been 3-2, I think, every time they've pulled. At least I can think of it. I think that Gennady, the reason he beat him is because he had the other options as well. So my dad couldn't fully commit into that press and stop it the way that he could against Jerry. Like Jerry, he's flopping. He's flopping, and you don't really need to worry about the other lanes because they're just not going to appear. Like if they happen, that'd be incredible to see Jerry top roll, but we all know he's going to flop. That's his thing. But I think it'd be a great match. I think it'd be awesome to see. And
let me ask you this: who wins in a hook between your father and Jerry?
In a hook between the two of them, I'm going to go with my dad. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say that his hook is very, very powerful. And if they were to have a match, he'd train that. He'd train that specifically and get that very powerful because he knows that's what he's going to need to beat Jerry. And I don't want to underestimate Jerry. I know he's an incredible arm wrestler and he's very, very strong. But I see what's happened in the past, and I see when my dad was a lot lighter, still able to catch him. And I know personally that he's a lot stronger than he used to be. So if he was able to out-endure him, which will be difficult, then I see it going my dad's way.
Okay. Yeah, that would be very interesting to see them both going into a hook, because we got to see your dad was holding Gennady in a hook. And then we also seen that round 3 of Jerry versus Gennady, Gennady brought it into a hook and Jerry went right through him like a knife going through butter. It was pretty crazy, which was shocking to a lot of people.
Yeah, very shocking.